Toyota teammates tangle once again, this time handing the victory to Chase Elliott. I know fans criticize Chase for not being the most interesting character in the garage, but he sure knows how to win in interesting fashion. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove on the Go, presented by Tableau TV. I am here at Kansas Speedway, where once again, we have witnessed an all-time stock car classic. I don't know if y'all can hear, they're playing Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers over the loudspeakers. I can't stop smiling. My heart can't stop beating. An intense finish, a flip. Zane Smith tried his own Hail Melon, went a little bit differently. Let's just say went a little more sideways. A flip in the closing laps, double overtime, a thriller. Kansas Speedway just can't stop delivering bangers. We have so much to get to. We'll take a look at the playoff picture in just a few moments. We are officially halfway through the 2025 Cup Series playoffs. We'll take a look at some of the top finishers, notable storylines, but we need to begin, as per usual, with the finish. Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell were on the front row. They were on the front row because Denny Hamlin, who controlled much of this race, had an issue on his final pit stop. Remember, he had a replacement jackman as a result of the loose wheel penalty from Bristol. Well, that reared its ugly head late, cost Denny valuable track position. So Bubba, with his teammate Tyler Reddick, both drivers in deep points holes, needing to win to advance on the inside. Bell and his teammate Briscoe, both above the cut line on the outside. Total Toyota top 5 takeover with Denny Hamlin in row 3 in the 5th position. Both lanes got equal restarts. Bell and Bubba raced side by side. Coming to the white flag, Wallace kind of pushed Bell up out of the groove slightly. Bell got tight, had to lift. Then Denny Hamlin entered the picture. He got a great restart. Hamlin got a huge run on the final lap, got to Bubba Wallace's inside, drifted up the track, 23 car into the wall. Here comes Chase Elliott? Who? Chase Elliott in a Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet steals the win. Not to say Hendrick and Chevy weren't good today, but they weren't Toyota. Denny Hamlin sweeps the stages, leads the most laps, comes home second. Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick desperately needing to win. They settle for top 5s. Chase Elliott in a Hendrick Chevy, who put 4 tires on the final pit stop sequence, was able to take advantage of that fresher rubber, get a tremendous restart, and steal the victory right out from underneath Toyota's nose. It's ironic that the question all week was, how will the Toyota teammates race each other going forward? The answer, apparently, not very well. I know, different situation. This was for the win. Denny Hamlin on pit road afterwards was exhausted after battling that whole final run without power steering. Exhausted Denny Hamlin said at the end, all he saw was win number 60.
What was on my mind is winning 60. That was it. In a race that we dominated, we were the best car. We had a bad pit stop. Restart 6, 1 to go. I'm thinking find a way to get 60. Not having power steering there was not ideal. And obviously I got really close to the 23. If I had to do it all over again, I think I'd run a little bit lower to allow a space between us. So I don't get so tight and then try to turn the wheel more.
Denny Hamlin ran a tremendous race, led the most laps, swept the stages. If he had won, if he had closed it out, 60 wins, tied for 10th all-time, would have tied Kevin Harvick's mark, would have clinched a spot in the round of 8, 5 more important playoff points to be used. Denny Hamlin, very aggressive there on that last lap. Didn't work out for him, and it didn't work out for his Toyota teammate / employee, Bubba Wallace. Now, to Bubba Wallace's credit, he was not as down in the dumps on pit road afterwards as he may have been in previous years, though he does enter the Roval in a difficult, let's say, point situation.
I've always been big on you race me. How you race me is how I race you. No matter who you are, what it is, we race hard. We race hard every week. Toyota drivers race really hard every week, but we respect each other. And there's a fine line that sometimes gets crossed, and you have to understand that. But we got one more race at the Roval. For me, it's a must-win there, right? But we're going to go and do what we did today, fight hard, and just make the most of it.
For the second week in a row, I wish I could be a fly on the wall inside of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Drivers Competition meeting. But alas, you heard right there, Bubba Wallace says Toyota drivers try to race each other with respect. At the end there was all take, no give whatsoever. I mean, Bubba Wallace, I don't think he fenced Christopher Bell with 2 to go, but he pushed Bell up out of the groove, definitely raced him extremely aggressive, took advantage of the 20, I'd say. Denny Hamlin essentially did very much the same thing to him on the final lap. Unfortunately, it resulted in a Chevy getting to victory lane, which I'm sure will lead to hurt feelings in Huntersville later this week. I saw reporter Noah Lewis shared a screenshot of one of the Max in-car cameras, showed Bubba Wallace flashing Denny Hamlin, a casual bird down the back straightaway on the cool-down lap. I don't think that's a big deal. These guys are competitors. Wallace was aggressive at the end, but Denny Hamlin took things even a step further. It was just 2 hungry playoff drivers battling tooth and nail for the win, and unfortunately they both came up short. Again, it is ironic that last week Denny Hamlin was at the center of the, hey, put your team first conversations, only for his move on turn 4 to cost his team, his OEM, a valuable playoff win. I don't blame Denny Hamlin for making the move he did. I don't blame Bubba Wallace for pushing Christopher Bell up the lap before. I don't blame them for either of those moves. It just sucks for Toyota that it didn't work out. Moving on, as we look at the top finishers, what does this mean for Chase Elliott, the big winner at the end of the day? He entered this race 7th in points, only plus 14, ran a tremendous race. Doesn't it feel good when you qualify good? Last week at New Hampshire, he went from 27th to 5th at the end of the day. Today, when you start 5th, you have a shot at the win. Actually, I think Chase qualified 4th. Ran top 5 all day. He earned the 4th most stage points. While I don't think the 9 car had the pure pace of the 11 or the 20, for example, he was in the picture all afternoon. Maybe kind of sort of in the background, but he was in that top 5 picture almost the entire race. Alan Gustafson, got to give him credit. Good call at the end there to put 4 tires on it. Elliott and Kyle Larson were the first cars on 4 tires with 9 laps to go, that restart. And then, of course, we had a couple more restarts after the fact. It paid at the end to have fresher rubber. He was able to make some moves other guys couldn't confidently make. So Chase Elliott gets the win. Hey, both of his wins this year have been exciting. You can't deny that. Atlanta was a thriller over the summer. Tonight's race, holy moly, so many twists and turns. Huge victory, though, for Chase Elliott. A confidence boost heading into the round of 8, not to mention 5 valuable playoff points. Chase Elliott, with only his 1 win this year, didn't have as many playoff points as the Denny Hamlins or the Christopher Bells or even the William Byron, who was the regular season champion. So 5 more playoff points for Chase vaults him into that top 5, top 6 tier we've been talking about to begin the round of 8, which is very important. Every point is going to matter when we get to Martinsville here in just a few weeks. So congratulations to Chase Elliott, Alan Gustafson, the whole number 9 team. Yeah, they stole it at the end there, but that's not to say they aren't a deserving winner. They ran a great race. The rest of the top 5, all Toyota. Before I move on, 2311 Racing. Their afternoon was a roller coaster. Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace entered this race 11th and 12th in points. At the bottom of the playoff grid, they desperately needed top 5s, stage points. They qualified well. Wallace 7th, Reddick 12th. Reddick in the opening laps, tremendous on the initial start, drove up into the top 5, was in position to get stage points when a mistake on pit road put them behind. Tyler Reddick, as a result, earned 0 stage points today. They rallied at the end, got into the top 10, top 5, finished top 10. Solid result, but the lack of stage points cost them dearly, as you'll see in a moment. And Bubba Wallace, he comes home top 5, had a real shot at the win, but today started terribly. They qualified 7th, immediately went backwards, 14th, 15th, 16th. They were running 19th in stage 1. Car was plowing tight, according to Bubba. They made multiple adjustments, didn't get much better. And then in stage 2, Charles Denike, that madman, that mad scientist atop the pit box, found a magic bullet, and suddenly Bubba Wallace was a bullet. Back into the top 10, then up into the top 5. Car was almost too loose at some points. Bubba Wallace was able to earn stage points in stage 2 and was this close to getting the win. So that sudden turnaround, really for both 2311 drivers, but especially for the 23 team for Bubba Wallace, was very encouraging as we look ahead to future races and even future seasons. It's hard to go from a 19th place car to a top 3 car within a single stage in the NASCAR Cup Series, but that's exactly what the 23 team was able to do today. Back to the top finishers, Kyle Larson, another solid top 10 result, pads his points lead. Brad Keselowski in 8th, the best finishing non-playoff driver. He's done that a couple of times in these playoffs, I believe. William Byron hit rock bottom midway through this race, was running outside of the top 20, was at a loss for words, had no idea what was wrong with his car. They rally to finish top 10, salvage their points day. Shane Van Gisbergen, because of issues in inspection yesterday, had to begin this race essentially on pit road, had to serve a pass through a stop and go, was a lap down before the race really got going. He rallies to finish 10th. 10th place for Shane Van Gisbergen. Oh, but he's only ever going to be good on road courses. I'm not so sure. Second time to Kansas in a Cup car, saw serious improvement from SVG. I can't wait to see what he can do next season, beginning in February, March, April. His teammate, though, Ross Chastain, comes home 11th. He's the defending fall Kansas winner, so expectations were high. He qualified well. Expectations were high, and 11th isn't bad. But boy, this felt like a missed opportunity, especially after the big restart wreck, I think early in stage 3, where Noah Gragson kind of forced his way into a hole. There was a stack up. Cindric got turned. Joey Logano got damaged. Joey Logano finished this race 21st. We'll talk more about him in a moment, but he left a lot of points on the table that Ross Chastain was unable to pick up. I think he was running 5th, 6th, 7th early in the race, but those final couple of runs, it felt like that one car just didn't have the long run speed and drifted outside of the top 10. Every point matters, and the one team left a few important ones on the table, at least from what I could see. Let's take a look at the playoff grid. One race to go in the round of 12. After the Charlotte Roval next week, these bottom 4 will be eliminated. I talked about Joey Logano, 13 points to the good. He lost 11 points from his cushion today. I want to start by giving Joey Logano a ton of credit because New Hampshire last week ran top 5. We expect that. Those short flat ovals right in Team Penske's wheelhouse. Blaney, Barry were dominant last week. We expect that. The mile and a halves have been up and down for Team Penske, and yesterday was an unmitigated disaster. Tire issues, a backup car for Blaney, Cindric, Logano, slow. All 3 cars had to start this race from the rear. They made huge, sweeping, unapproved adjustments to the 2 and the 22, and they seemed to work. As bad as yesterday was, the Penske Fords moved forward throughout this race. Joey Logano, thanks in part to some bold, aggressive, classic Paul Wolfe strategy, 2 tires at the end of stage 1, got stage points in both stages. 8 stage points. The 7th most stage points today were earned by Joey Logano, despite starting damn near last. So I want to give Logano and team credit. Considering how bad yesterday was, they did all they could do to maximize today's result. Unfortunately, because they had kind of a rough pit stop, and let's be honest, had maybe an 8th to 10th place car at best, they were in the danger zone, and when that huge wreck on the restart happened, Logano got spun, got a little bit of maybe diffuser damage perhaps, lost all his track position. They threw another Hail Mary at the end with 2 tires to try and maybe salvage a top 10, top 15. Didn't work out, ends up 21st, plus 13 points, headed to the Roval. Logano's fine at the Roval, fine road course racer, but he's not sleeping comfortable. Joey Logano on pit road, I talked to him after the race, and you could see it, hear it. He's not as confident as he's been in previous seasons.
Yeah, it's not comfy. Not comfy. That's what the playoffs are all about, though. And if there's a team that can handle it, it's our team. So I feel as good as I can about that. Really wanted to leave here with the 30-point gap, but we're going to be scratching and clawing. It looks like it's probably going to be a race between the 1 and the 19 and the 22. And we just got to do the best we can to manage what we got.
As far as the points, Cindric, another extremely underwhelming result. He needs to win. Reddick, Wallace probably need to win the Roval. That's a tall task when Shane Van Gisbergen is in the field. Of course, AJ Allmendinger in the field. But Reddick is a great road course racer. He could scoop that trophy up. Bubba Wallace, much improved. If things go their way, I'm not going to say they're out of it, but it's going to be a tall task for the 23-11 teammates. Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, throw Chase Briscoe in there. Those will be ones to watch. Just checking my notes, man, so much happened today. I barely even addressed the flip from Zane Smith. Thankfully, Zane was okay. I don't know exactly where he was running at that time when he got wrecked by Nemechek, but early in this race, he drove up into the top 10 on pure pace. So Zane Smith, again, flashing some of that talent. Haven't seen a lot from front row this year, but Zane has been the lone bright spot here and there. Terrible wreck today. Glad he's okay, but I'll be damned. I haven't seen a car ride the wall like that since in a long, long time. That was surreal. This race also kind of cemented my team power rankings. At short flat ovals, it's Team Penske all the way, specifically the 12 and the 22. But at intermediates, Joe Gibbs Racing seemed to get better as the race went on. The teams with JGR alliances like 2311 were in the mix as well. Hendrick was also very good. Well, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson were, at least. You know, this was only Chase Elliott's second top 5 on a traditional intermediate track this year. And I'm not sure we count Pocono Raceway as a traditional intermediate. I guess he was third at Gateway. See, I consider Gateway more of a short, flat, not short, but it's flat. It's 1.2 miles. They do run the intermediate package. Okay, he was third at Gateway. I guess Chase has been better in this package than I'd give him credit for. He was 6th in the Coca-Cola 600, which was the last traditional mile and a half until today. So I guess, yeah, he's been pretty solid at the intermediates this year. I guess here's what I'd say. At short flat tracks, it's Penske and then Hendrick and Gibbs, depending on the track, kind of interchangeable. On the intermediates, I think it's probably Gibbs, Hendrick right behind them, and then Penske kind of a distant third. So when we look ahead to the round of 8, you got an intermediate, a super speedway, who the hell knows, and a short flat track. So like all manufacturers are going to have one race that's in their wheelhouse and one that's not so much. So I think the round of 8, when we look at the points here, I think the round of 8, I know I'm looking way far ahead, is going to be fascinating with how tight the playoff points reset will likely be. Whoa, gosh. Every time the Groovy Gauge sneaks up on me. The Groovy Gauge, presented by Electric E-Bikes. Head to electricebikes.com to learn more. Kansas Speedway, you've done it again, you beautiful, the paved monstrosity. Even before double overtime, I thought this was a very good race. 3-4 lanes were workable. Guys passing each other for the lead, getting a run and crossing them over, passing them right back. This was a compelling race. On paper, yeah, Denny Hamlin led like 100 and something laps, swept the stages, but it was way more competitive than the stat sheet would suggest. Watching the Penske guys go from the back to near the front. The restart wreck, shook things up. Whoa, what's going on? This race didn't need double overtime to be memorable, to be exciting and interesting, but damn, double overtime certainly delivered, didn't it? Zane Smith up against the fence, Toyota teammates tangle, a Chevy, Chase Elliott, crowd going crazy. You could hear him here on pit road, swipes the victory in the final stretch, the final leg. I mean, this is a 95% on the Groovy Gauge. If I'm going to knock it for anything, I don't know, red flag delays, that took like half an hour to run the final 4 laps or whatever it was. I guess, pacing-wise, it was kind of slow at the end. But gosh, I could watch that Zane Smith replay over and over again. I wasn't exactly bored. 95%. I'll leave a tiny bit of room to grow. I love Kansas Speedway, but I can't be giving all these races hundreds. 95% for me. Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought of today's Hollywood Casino 400. I will say, I've got a bone to pick with whoever makes the schedules here. And I understand NASCAR's hands are tied somewhat. They can't always find the perfect weekend for every track. But this was a rough weekend for the Kansas Speedway home crowd. Yesterday, as I understand, both Kansas and Kansas State played home football games not far from here. And today, the race went green less than an hour before the Kansas City Chiefs kicked off against the Baltimore Ravens just across town. Marquee football matchups competing with NASCAR for the home Kansas City crowd. Man, that's a tough draw for NASCAR. I'm glad that many of the fans who were here seemed to love that finish. Crowd was going crazy. Congratulations to Chase Elliott. That's going to do it for me, folks. Thank you so much for watching this Out of the Groove on the go. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more NASCAR race reactions, interviews, commentary, and so much more. I also really appreciate your support on Patreon. Helps me get to more of these races in person, interview the drivers, add that extra depth to the coverage. I hope you enjoy it because I certainly do. Thanks for your support. I will be back home tomorrow. Plenty to discuss this week ahead of a cutoff race at the Charlotte Roval. Thank you for tuning in, folks. I'll talk to you again very, very soon.